Well, holy smokers, this ain't no jokers. I am about to say something I thought I would never say on this channel ever. WTI is trading at a $2 chuck. Yes, a $2 chuck is when we call a stock that goes down to $2. We call it a $2 chuck stock, okay? WTI crude oil is trading at $2. Now, this is nothing, okay? This is nothing. Wait to see what happens to crude oil as this video progresses, okay? Because basically, as it took me about an hour or two to prep this video, just wait to see what happens with crude prices as this video goes along, okay? Let me be very clear, okay? I got started in the stock market, it was like 2008, 2009, okay? I started looking into stocks. I think I made my first investment end of 2008. Started investing more and more in 2009, started taking things super serious 2010. And so that's when I got started in the financial markets, the capital markets, okay? And let me be very, very clear about this. This is the most shocking thing I've ever seen in the financial markets, and it's not even close. I have never seen something in my 11 or 12 years of doing this that is more shocking than what I am seeing right now. It is absolutely the most shocking, okay? In this video, I want to explain why this is so incredibly shocking. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, absolutely. What's going on with oil prices? What's going on with the oil price in general right now? It's just pure shocking. Like, that's all I can, describe this, okay? And I'm also going to, in this video, explain if and how we can make money from this, okay? Which is always important. I know everybody watches my channel, they love to make money. They love to figure out how do we make money off this? How can we capitalize this on the other side and things like that, okay? So we'll get into all that in today's video. Hope you guys enjoy. Smash the thumbs up button as always. Today is 4/20/2020, which means we need to hit 42,020 thumbs up on this video. I can tell you if we hit that record, that would be a record that might never be broken again, okay? That is what we're going for. Smash that thumbs up button, guys. Let's get into this, okay? Now, just in that little amount of prep, WTI crude oil has now fallen to $1.51. Oil price is just going through the floor, okay? It's already down to $1.51. I just prepped a couple slides, okay? Let's go ahead and get into some of the shocking stuff I have seen since I got in the market in 2008. Well, obviously, when I got started in the markets, in the financial markets, it was a great recession, okay? That was kind of craziness. I mean, that was kind of, shocking. I mean, the stock market fell, peak to trough over 50%. Pretty dang crazy, okay? 2010, the flash crash happened, where essentially it was like for a half an hour period, like for no really unexplained reason. I don't know if it was systems or the computers or what, but stock prices just fell through the floor. I remember watching it live on CNBC at that time, and it was just like nuts. It was just absolute craziness. Like, stock prices just went down and down and down. It was down, I think, like 8 or 9% in a matter of like a half an hour's time. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen in the stock market. It was pretty dang shocking, okay? I remember I was watching the financial news channels the day Tesla went public, and this guy, Elon Musk, he took this company, public that was Tesla, and it was kind of like, okay, that's going to be another bankrupt company. Oh, cute idea. That's pretty cool. Electric car company. But, the car companies don't make it. They can try to upstart as many car companies as you want. They just don't make it in the end. And that little company Tesla, that was a nobody, ended up becoming the second biggest market capitalization company in the entire world, okay? Only behind Toyota Motor Corporation in a matter of a decade. That was pretty dang shocking to see somebody, a company like that come from nowhere to just take on the auto industry in a major way and not only make it, but make it to a point where like every auto company in the world's changing their whole strategy because of this one little company that came out of nowhere. That is pretty dang shocking, okay? I watched a company named Netflix go from this just like little, like they send you DVDs in the mail and end up taking out Blockbuster and Hollywood Video. This little company takes down those retail giants, to then they're coming after all the satellite companies and the cable companies, and a lot of people start thinking, you know what, I don't need my cable anymore, I don't need my satellite, I'm just gonna have Netflix, to now like all these massive major companies or want to have what Netflix has. You have companies like Disney doing this, Apple, Google, the biggest companies in the world, they want to have the product Netflix has. That is unbelievable, okay? I've seen a lot of shocking stuff in this market, including the Rona once in a 100-year event that's going on right now. Incredible. World economy shut down completely. Who would have ever thought this, okay? World economy is like unreal stuff, okay? But I've never seen something this shocking. This takes a cake over all those other ones, okay? WTI crude now is trading at 10 cents. The contracts for May now trading at 10 cents, down 99.45% in one day. Oh my goodness, guys. WTI crude was trading, in terms of these contracts, for the May contracts, we're trading over $60. We're trading over $60 at the beginning of this year. And now they're worthless. Completely and utterly worthless. Shocking, okay? Never did I think I would see a chart that would make Carnival Cruise Line chart, CCL chart, look like not that bad, okay? I didn't think I'd ever see it. I mean, at least CCL fell from $51 to $12 here today, which is pretty dang awful and pretty dang shocking. But compare the WTI chart, I mean, it's just nothing, okay? Oil prices are just falling through the absolute floor. And let's be honest, there's no place for this oil to go right now. That's very clear, okay? They've been talking about that the last couple of weeks, and now it's becoming very, very evident. Because essentially, what's going on right now? Well, the Roni situation's going on, right? World economies are shut down, which means massively less amounts of oil is being used, okay? When massive amounts less of oil is being used, but it's still being produced at a very high rate, you got to store it somewhere, and basically just all the places to store oil is starting to run out, okay? I guess if you just want to start clearing land to store oil barrels or something like that, which doesn't really make much sense. But I guess if you want to do that, you could. But I mean, right now, it's just absolute craziness. Like literally, all the storage facilities are pretty much maxed out at this point. They just have nowhere to put this stuff. They're just like let's just give it away, okay? And so that's a really bad situation. That just means supply and demand are way out of whack in this situation. But then you add on top of this, okay? This is another thing to be worried about if you're thinking about economic recovery, if you're thinking about how long it takes us to come out of this, and things like this, okay? U.S. oil and gas industry distressed debt, okay? Nearly $72 billion worth of U.S. oil and gas speculative grade debt is distressed, an amount that has doubled since the year began and is now at an all-time high as oil prices have collapsed. Now, keep in mind, this was written back in March, on March 19th, when oil prices were somewhat normal and they weren't trading at 10 cents, or what we're going to show here in a minute, now trading negative in terms of the contracts, okay? So imagine the amount of distressed debt now, okay? This is a huge risk for all the banks out there. It's a huge risk for the entire energy sector, not just in the United States, but around the world, especially if you're thinking about over the next, several months. And this is another thing that you just got to think about. If we're thinking about a really fast recovery in the economy and in terms of corporate earnings, they're just going to bounce back super fast. This is just another huge negative and another huge thing that I think is a real thing that you got to pay attention to and kind of worry about, okay? Look at this, guys. I'm seeing something I never thought I'd see. I never thought I'd see even oil under $5 in terms of the contracts. It's trading negative. Negative 66 cents. WTI crude is trading at now for the May, okay? I mean, my goodness gracious, this is beyond insane, okay? What I want to show you now is U.S. oil rig counts, okay? So U.S. oil rig counts have been declining massively as oil prices have dropped and dropped and dropped. These numbers, I don't know if it will go to zero, but it might end up going pretty dang close. With how much more oil is dropping, the June contracts continue to go down in a massive way. June contracts, I think right now, are trading around 20 bucks. And though, there's a possibility that those ones could go down massively and end up going negative at some point in time. So although it looks like, they're at 20 right now, keep in mind that's way down. I mean, June contracts for oil prices, you would usually think that would be at least 60 bucks, if not, more than that, okay? I mean, we're talking about summertime, we're talking about oil prices, generally a good time for oil prices in general, and I mean, at least 50, 60 bucks you'd usually expect for June. It's trading in the 20s right now, low 20s, I'm not talking like right around 20, and who knows what will happen as the month goes on. Maybe it goes negative as well or goes down massively. So when we're talking about U.S. oil rig counts, this number could go very, very close to zero. It really could, because there's just no way in this type of oil environment any players in the shale or anything in general are going to be making any money. And this isn't just an issue for US, this is an issue for Canada, this is an issue for countries around the world, because these oil prices, most of these countries are losing money hand over fist. And most of these companies that are doing business, it just doesn't make financial sense for them to even keep these wells going. They just have to close them. They just have to close the rigs down. Just at the end of the day, that's just what they have to do. This news just broke. Russia orders companies to cut oil production by 20%. I mean, every single country around the world, especially a lot of the ones that are dependent upon selling oil, they're trying to figure out, how do we cut production? How do we cut production? Because right now, the story is supply and demand massively out of whack for supply, right? People aren't driving around right now. People aren't doing the normal stuff that goes on in the normal economy. Economic activity is down massively. They're talking about GDP is going to be down 30%, maybe 40% next quarter. We're in a situation right now, a once in a 100-year situation, where supply and demand is so far out of whack, it's hard to even explain, because production's keeping up going. Even though they've cut and cut and cut, production's still way higher than it should be. Let's put it that way. And so supply is through the roof, and there's just so little demand for oil right now because of the economic situation we're in. Everybody is cutting, cutting, cutting. All these companies, all these countries, they're all cutting. They just want to cut production, okay? But where I think this could get interesting is when you see all these cuts, is 6 to 12 months down the road. And here's where I think things could get interesting, because as all these companies cut, as all these companies go bankrupt, as all these companies, have to shut wells, and all these countries continue to cut production and close wells and cut rigs and all those sorts of things, okay? As that continues to happen, we could end up in a situation 6 to 12 months from now where supply is not nearly enough and demand is way too much for where supply is at. Well, how could something like this happen? Well, obviously, the economies are going to start to open back up. And even if they don't open back up fully, which I'm expecting them not to open back up fully, I expect this to be a situation where the economic recovery takes several years to happen. I don't think everything just, whoa, we're back to normal and everybody's just dry. I don't think that's going to happen. But let me be very clear. Obviously, once we're allowed to go out there and spend money again, the amount of demand out there for oil products is going to go up substantially. I mean, in a ridiculous rate, right? While everybody's been cutting, or these companies have been going bankrupt, and rigs have been getting cut, and wells have been closing down, and all those sorts of things. So you're going to end up having this situation where maybe, 6 to 12 months down the road, we could end up in a situation where just flat out, there's too much demand and there's not enough supply, which what happens then? Prices go up and up and up, okay? And in that scenario, that gets pretty dang intriguing. And we know that the oil prices around here are unsustainably low. Like when we're talking about negative oil prices, or even oil prices at $10 or $20, it's just not, it's not sustainable. The reason being is they'll just end up getting in a situation where everybody will keep cutting, and then we'll end up in a situation where oil prices will go up massively. Keep in mind, okay, Saudi Arabia, they get oil for cheaper, far cheaper than anybody else, okay? If you're in the United States and you're trying to, make a profit from oil, you need oil well above $40 a barrel. In Saudi Arabia, they can make money on about 10 bucks, somewhere around there roughly, okay? If oil prices are around 10 bucks, they can make money. That's amazing for them. They're the only ones that can do that. The only ones, okay? In the Middle East, that's the only place they can do that. Everywhere else, you're looking at $20 and up. And most countries, like we talked about, $30 to $40 and up, okay? So what we know right now is oil prices right now are unsustainably low, and that's insane and that's crazy. But we know oil prices will rebound. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. Oil prices will rebound. And so if we're thinking about oil prices rebounding, how can we make money from the rebound? And this is what I spent a lot of time and attention for this weekend. I've been spending so much time trying to focus on this. It's ridiculous, okay? And so first off, I don't want to play any of the oil and gas players, okay? I don't want to play any of the smaller players. A lot of these public companies that have massive debt loads and are trading as like pretty much penny stocks now. A lot of these, players are, the prices are like 50 cents a share and stuff. I don't want any of those guys because I think most of those guys are going to go out of business. It just doesn't make sense to even keep those guys along, and that debt loads is going to end up getting nailed to the banks, okay? So imagine what some of these bank earnings are going to be, and the investor losses as well is going to be substantial. But I also don't want to play any of these big guys, the BPs, the Chevrons, Exxon Mobils, Shell. I don't really want to play any of those guys either. They have lack of growth, and a lot of those players aren't just dependent upon oil prices. A lot of them are also run refineries and things like that. And a lot of those companies don't have the best balance sheets as well. And so I'm just looking at those big players, And I'm like, I don't even honestly want to play those big players as of right now. It doesn't mean I'll never invest in those companies, but as of right now, the way I look at it, I'm just like, no, I don't want the small players. I don't want the big players. I don't want anything like that right now, okay? So that doesn't really interest me. Now look at this, guys. You ready to be shocked? WTI crude oil contracts for May are now trading at negative $26.24, okay? That's down 243% here today. Who would have ever thunk it? Negative crude oil prices. This is beyond ridiculous, okay? So I guess another reason why stocks are an advantage, right? You invest in Apple stock, and let's say everything was to go wrong for Apple stocks. It's completely unrealistic. But let's say the company went bankrupt. The worst you can do is the stock goes to zero. You lose 100% of your money. Jeez Louise, I mean, these crude oil prices, literally negative 200%. You know, it's just ridiculous, okay? USO, so USO, United States Oil Fund. So this was an interesting one that I was thinking about potentially playing. And the reason is this is kind of this is the best pure play if you're trying to correlate a product essentially to oil prices, okay? And this one's pretty interesting, but I talked about this with a lot of my group members, and the main issue with this one is what's called Contango, okay? And keep in mind, I built big YouTube channels and a big private group based upon my stock picks and me talking about stocks, not talking about commodities, so I'm certainly no commodities expert, so I'm trying to get caught up on all this. But basically, this Contango is a situation where, you know, future oil prices are massively ahead of what is going on in the past. And so this forwardation puts you in a situation where the upside is not what you really think it is, okay? So it's not like you're necessarily, a stock price is low and you're like, this is an unsustainably low stock price, and so you buy into it and the stock price goes up. It's a much more confusing and messy situation with buying something like USO than it kind of like meets the eye. And so there's really no pure way you can actually invest and you know, profit off of essentially the spot price of crude oil. USO's kind of somewhat close to that, but it's not because of the whole Contango situation we talked about. So it's a real messy situation. So I'm still looking for, you know, a way to play this because look at this, guys. WTI crude is now trading negative $35.20. My goodness, it's down almost 300%. Guys, oh my gosh, like this is absolutely like the craziest thing I've ever seen in the financial markets. And so once again, I've been talking with a ton of people in my private stock group about this that actually know a lot more about commodities than I do. Once again, I'm not a commodities investor. This isn't something I usually do. All I know is oil prices, you know, where they're at right now and where they're likely to trade over the next month or two. It's unsustainably low. I believe over time oil prices will go up. I believe that supply and demand is going to get way out of whack on the other side coming out of this. And so, you know, I'm going to keep talking with everybody and try to figure out a way to play this because I feel like there's gotta be money to be made somewhere here. I just don't know where it is, and I'm going to figure it out. And when I figure it out, I'm sure I'll let you guys know. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. As always, leave me a comment down there if you can find a great pure play on basically trying to bank on the fact that oil prices will likely rebound, whether it be 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 18 months from now, or 24 months from now. Let me know in that comment section kind of what the play is, or if you have something that maybe I haven't looked at. I would love to hear from you guys. As always, make sure you smash the thumbs up button if you enjoyed today's video. This is nuts. Craziness. Thank you for watching and have a great day.